body of the Department of Industrial Management organizes Info Studio session series to enhance the knowledge and skills of our undergraduates. Under that concept, we'll start today's session on Innovate to Get Ahead. So, to begin with, let me respectfully introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Shanta Yapa, a senior academic fellow at SRIC Business School, a chief commercial officer at Affinity Innovates Private Limited, and a director of ICT Industry Skill Council. Not only that, but also he has published Rising in Crisis, which is a novel book comprising a wide range of strategic insights, especially for entrepreneurs and managers. Sir, we warmly welcome you to the session. Throughout this session, we will provide a clear overview on how to become an innovator and successful entrepreneur from today onwards. Here is the chance to improve yourself. So, without any further delay, I would like to invite Dr. Shanta Yapa to continue the session. Sir, it's over to you.
Thank you, Eshan. Let me share my screen.
Welcome, sir.
Eshan, hope you can see my screen.
Yes, so we can see your screen and you're audible as well.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Welcome on board for this session titled Innovate to Get Ahead. And I consider it as a privilege to deliver this speech to a group of very dynamic, enthusiastic students from University of Kelaniya. As Heshan introduced, I have been lecturing in many different universities. To quantify, it has gone up to 22 different universities for almost 20 years. And this is my very first lecture at University of Kelaniya. At the same time, I should mention that your university is not a strange place to me as the presenter. Right now, we are on a collaborative project with your department, that is Industrial Management Department. Well, the topic is Innovate to Get Ahead. Let's explore the topic. Please feel free to ask questions in case you are in need of any clarifications. Friends, recently I came across an interesting article. The title of the article is The Conversational Framework. And the writers are talking about how easy it is or how difficult or challenging it is to learn using this kind of platforms. And I'll share with you the key contents of that article, okay, taking a few minutes. Now, you are in the process of learning. Throughout the degree program, you will be learning. How should learning happen? Is it only by listening to a lecture or a lecturer? No. There are 6 different activities you can think of, okay? And you must necessarily perform. You learn through acquiring. What is acquiring? You listen to a lecture like this and you acquire new knowledge. And acquisition can happen not only by listening to a lecture, by reading a book also you can acquire knowledge. Or you can go to a website and you can acquire new knowledge. So that is learning activity number 1, acquiring or acquire. Number 2, you need to inquire. What I'm going to explain is not clear to you. So you are going to ask a question. Or you are reading a book. What is appearing in the book is not clear. So you go to a different chapter or early chapter. That is inquiry. Number 2, learning activity. Number 3, you need to discuss. Discuss with your colleagues, discuss with your faculty members, discuss with your family. That is third learning activity. Then no point in learning anything if we cannot think of a way to apply. Okay. So practice is Number 4, fourth learning activity, practice. So I'm repeating the list. Number 1, acquire. Number 2, inquire. Number 3, discuss. Number 4, practice. When you practice with outsiders, outside your team, outside your department, organization, industry, we call it collaborate or collaboration. That is the 5th way of learning. And finally, the 6th one, that is you need to produce something. At the end of the semester, you will be submitting assignments, you will be submitting video clips, PowerPoint presentations, you may make various other things. So that is number 6. So throughout your journey, I suggest you to pay attention to all these 6 different learning activities. Okay, so we are set to begin our session on innovate to get ahead. We are a great nation. Any non-national listening to this presentation, I guess there can be some students from other countries. Heshan, is it the case? Are all Sri Lankans?
It's all Australians.
Okay, so I'm free to tell anything in a diplomatic way. Yes, we are a great nation with a great history and with a great future as well. So the young students who are listening to me, if you are thinking of leaving the country due to various reasons, you need to think again. This is a great country, this is a great nation. But today's topic is innovation. Are we innovative as a nation? Are we creative as a nation? Let's make this very interactive. Can somebody respond? Are we innovative as a nation? It's not an examination, it's a very friendly discussion about the topic, innovate to get ahead. I'm asking you, are we innovative as a nation? What do you have to say? Anyone? Are we creative as a nation? We are not here to criticize our nation or unnecessarily appreciate all our Sri Lankans. What do you have to say? Are we innovative as a nation? Are we creative? Anyway, when you look at these 2 questions, it gives you the suggestion that, okay, creative or creativity is something different compared to innovativeness or innovation. So let's explore. Well, this is not to insult this person who is begging money. See how he has adapted to change. Okay, keeping social distance, he's begging. It's not to underestimate this person who is appearing. Technically, one might say that we are pleading for money from other countries at this very difficult stage. So rather than finding fault with authorities and various other parties, let's try to do our role. Innovation can be a solution. Are we innovative as a nation? Well, there's an entity or organization that goes as World Intellectual Property Organization. Every year they publish a document that goes as Global Innovation Index. You can download it from the internet, published by people. And out of some 130 odd countries, Sri Lanka is placed at 95th. So you can guess how we are faring. Do we have world-class products from Sri Lanka? The answer can be yes, or not many, a few, and so on. How do we perform these social problems facing as a nation, as a country, or as citizens on the planet? We have a long list of social problems, and there's a long list of organization-specific problems as well. Are we using innovations? Are we using technology in solving these problems? Well, there's a big question. Let me share with you an interesting example. How do we use technology? Take agriculture. Okay. Are we using technology properly? My answer is no, we are not using. I'll give you an interesting example for you to remember. At the beginning of last century, that was in early 1900s, go back 100 years or 120 years, I'm referring to that time. 85% of United States population, they were into agriculture. Okay, and they were world's number one agriculture exporter. World's number one agriculture exporter. At the beginning of this century, in early 2000s, United States of America was still number one exporter of agriculture products in the world. Guess population involvement in agriculture. 100 or 120 years back, 85% of US people were into agriculture. Do you think that the same percentage is still engaged in agriculture in US? No, it cannot be. 50%, 40%. Look at the other story I mentioned, they are still number one in the world. Well, the number has drastically come down to 3%. Only 3% of the population is engaged in agriculture. United States of America is still number one. Well, we may have our criticism. They are damaging the environment, they are damaging the ozone layer and so on. At the same time, we need to question how we do agriculture here in Sri Lanka. I'm not saying it is totally incorrect. Anyway, I'm highlighting the point. We are yet to explore technology and innovations. What is innovation? How does it differ from inventions? I'm sure you are familiar with both these words. Well, inventions have to be brand new to the world. Nobody had developed this device. Mobile phone. I invented it. Let's assume that I invented this product and I created it for the first time, and it is an invention. It has to be brand new to the world. It has to be a breakthrough finding. And I may not have a very clear agenda to commercialize my invention. We see a lesser number of inventions in the world. But when it comes to innovations, we see a substantial number of innovations. Compared to inventions, innovations are very easy. Topic I'm going to discuss, but inventions. Combine various technologies, solve social problems. That's innovation. That's the topic for our discussion today. By the way, it is not. Well, you cannot think of any better time to innovate. Then people might think that criticizing the country, criticizing the government, criticizing various other things, but we can list down. Anyway, this is a scholarly discussion, okay, academic discussion. I'm not here to criticize anyone. We have so many social problems, not created by the current government or the previous government. Some are chronic problems. But just understand the gravity of the problem. Do you know that once in 3 hours, somebody is killed due to a road accident here in Sri Lanka? I guess it's not you. It's about eight road accident related deaths reported per day. And each hour, somebody is getting disabled. Somebody on the road is getting disabled forever. Imagine the social cost. What have we done? So I extracted this from Daily News 2 days back. Look at this, Tuesday, February 8, 2022. So as a country, we maintain that record. Once in 3 hours, somebody is killed due to a road accident. Look at this, some 1,875 serious accidents in the country in January alone. And 235 of them were fatal accidents. So the death count would have been 235 or more than that. And the related social cost, we cannot compute the cost. If somebody is killed due to a road accident, the value of the person, we cannot estimate so easily. But we can compute in a way the economic cost of these accidents and these deaths. Somewhere I saw it is nearly 3% of your GDP. Okay, our GDP is 85 billion. 3% of that again is in billions, US billions. Okay, and it's a huge cost. What have we done to reduce road accidents? I have been discussing this point for more than 10 years. I even discussed with authorities with no results. It can be my inability to convince the top authorities, but one of you or many of you may start projects to reduce the number of road accidents. There are so many reasons we can investigate. Technical failures, it can be negligence, it can be consumption of alcohol, it can be tired drivers who are engaged in driving, it can be bad practices, poor road conditions, so many things. But what I cannot or what we should not tolerate is there are some places known to us, so many accidents were happening during the last so many years in the same place. Are we taking actions to widen the road or to provide adequate signals to the public or the drivers, let's say notices to drive cautiously? I have not seen. Well, the social problems, a long list of social problems. It can be use of pesticides, weedicides, fertilizer, and various diseases. And we tend to think when it comes to consumption of alcohol, Europeans are drinking or consuming alcohol more than us. Is it the case? No. In a recent report by a person who is authorized to make statements on behalf of Sri Lanka's government, he has mentioned in a report per capita consumption, that means per person's consumption of alcohol, alcoholic beverages for Sri Lanka is 3 times higher than that of a European. Okay, so we come across suicides, we come across cases of depression, we come across cases of inequality, we come across the cases of digital divide. The benefits of modern technologies are not equally distributed among the public, among the citizens, because there are so many problems through innovations which we can solve. Is innovation always high-tech? Should we be engineers? Should we be scientists to innovate? No, it is not necessarily. Common sense is said to be a very vital ingredient in innovating. So these are a few examples. Well, rather than wasting water, wasted water in washing hands can be used for another purpose. This photograph shows. This is Sri Lanka's Air Force. Asian, I guess my screen is visible to you all. This is how Sri Lanka's Air Force modified helicopters to be used to spray chemicals in combating against COVID. And this is how existing technologies are used by a company. The pacemaker implanted to a patient to increase the blood pressure is connected or communicating with the smartphone of the patient or the doctor. And this is known as the spin cycle. Spin cycle. This gentleman shown in the image may not be very clear, visible on your screens. Was on an internship in Africa. He was from a European country, and he found in that country people were struggling to wash their clothes due to inadequate supply of water, non-availability of electricity, and so on. So he designed and developed this washing machine connected to a bicycle. There are interesting video clips about his product, and he made headlines in media years ago. And this is a refrigerator developed by an Indian. It does not use electricity. It does not use any other energy. It uses a simple theory what we have learned in physics. This is known as Metacool, and it is a commercially available product. So there are so many opportunities available for us to innovate. There can be times where you cannot draw the line, whether it is an invention or whether it is an innovation. Don't worry about the segregation. Just keep on listening. Hereafter, in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to take you through a long list of different type of innovations. The list may have incremental, radical, disruptive, reverse, and so many different innovations. Why should you worry? Well, when you are listening to the different types of innovation, something might come to your mind. Okay, I will see, I have a problem, I have seen a problem in the society or in my area, in my community, in my university. Let's find a solution. Okay. An efficient wheelchair. Well, I'm sure you all have seen wheelchairs used by differently abled or disabled people. And usually we don't see these two levers. So this is known as the levered wheelchair. Levered wheelchair. And this particular product made available, let's say it is up for sale. It is a commercially available product in the United States of America. This is sold 3 times or 3 to 4 times higher than the traditional wheelchair. Productivity is higher, less effort is to be exerted by the person who is using because of the 2 levers. This is a classic example for reverse innovation, a topic I'm going to discuss shortly. Reverse innovation. So stay tuned, no hibernation please. There are a lot of interesting types of innovations we are going to explore. When it comes to innovations, we can talk about product innovations. I'm manufacturing this product, customers complain that this is too small. You cannot hold this properly. So I will increase the dimensions, the length of the product or the width of the product. That is a product innovation. We can think of process innovations, the way I manufacture the product, the way I do packaging, the way I do delivering, distribution, recoveries, and so on. Because there are so many processes in any commercial organization. We can think of improving those processes, process innovations, and business model innovations, another topic which we will explore. Well, I'm showing you 2 images. One, it's medicines. The other one, it's a bottle of poison. What is the difference between medicine and poison? I'm not a medical doctor. Well, they say they use poison in producing medicine, but they use in small quantities. So the dosage matters, the amount matters. It matters in innovations as well. So friends, we come across 2 different types of innovations. It can be product or process innovations. The 2 words are incremental innovations and radical innovations. If I make a small change in my product, we can call it an incremental innovation. If I make an upside down kind of a change, it is known as a radical innovation. Continuous versus discontinuous. Don't worry too much about the other words I'm showing. Evolutionary changes in the product, gradual changes, or revolutionary changes in the product, they will lead to radical innovations. Are people, are customers, let's say, willing to see radical innovations? The answer is yes. Every time, no. There are instances where customers may not prefer radical innovations. Let's say you are a software development company, I'm a business organization, a manufacturing company. I have purchased your software, and the next day you say, well, we have come up with a great product, a radical innovation. Will I like it? No. I need some time to write off this purchase. Okay, I cannot continue to switch on to new products. Radical innovations can sometimes disturb existing clients. Incremental innovations are mostly preferred by large established organizations. This is a research finding, and radical innovations are usually done by startup kind of organizations. Okay, for the time being, that is sufficient. So rather than talking about product innovations and process innovations, now you have two other words. You can describe the innovation you come across. Innovation means they have done some kind of an improvement, a value addition, okay, to the product. It can be a small change or a big change, incremental innovation or radical innovation. Okay, look at this. 32 Volkswagen models is a car manufacturing company, world's biggest car manufacturer. Why they have so many brands under them? They say 42 Volkswagen models come from a single platform. A single platform. So many different cars. Anyway, these are not relevant. I just extracted from the internet just to give you some kind of an idea about the different types of vehicles they do have. Anyway, world's biggest automobile manufacturer, Volkswagen, claims that they build hundreds and hundreds of cars on a common platform using a technique that goes as modular architecture or modular innovation. We just studied two different types of innovations, incremental and radical. Now we have two other types, modular and architectural innovations. By changing some components inside the product, you can innovate. That is known as modular innovation in a nutshell. Think of a bicycle. If I'm manufacturing bicycles, customers complain that this is the same odd bicycle you have been offering to us. Why not you offer us a bicycle which we find easy to ride on a flat terrain, or a bike with a gearbox? So I changed the cog wheel, the pedal, I replaced with some gear wheels. That is a modular innovation. The handle, the seat, the frame, all the other components remain the same. Even the architecture, the way the different components are connected will remain same. I changed only one component or few components. That is modular innovation. Is it used by large organizations? Well, almost all the automobile companies use modular innovation. Decades back, an automobile manufacturer took more than 5 years to come up with a new model. Now, I'm referring to before COVID era. They used to introduce new models quite regularly. Okay, within a year, they might come up with 2-3 models. How do they do that? Well, go to market, or rather time to market, is a crucial factor for any organization. It takes time. Modular innovation has enabled business organizations to go to market much faster. It is the same platform they use. It's the same chassis. It's the same engine, same gearbox, same brake system, same air conditioning system in the car. The changes you see are limited to the body parts, interior, the seats, lights, headlamps, and so on. So this is modular innovation. Electronic manufacturers, software companies do this. They come up with modular architecture so they can make some changes or add new functionalities, features through these modules. Okay, modular innovation is the third type of innovation we just discussed. Incremental, radical, modular, architectural. What is architectural? You change the linkages, how the product is connected, different components are connected with each other, and you offer more value to the customer. That is architectural innovation. Anyone interested in reading more? This is known as Henderson and Clark's model of innovation. Well, can you recognize what is appearing on the screen? This is known as a vacuum tube. Okay, we call this valve, a valve. Technical term is vacuum tube, found in new players or amplifiers and radios decades ago. And a new product came, which is easy to use. It is not power hungry. In terms of performance, it is much better. It consumes less space. It is durable. It does not dissipate that much of heat like a valve or a vacuum tube. And as you know, this is a transistor. Transistor replaced these vacuum tubes, and transistors were replaced by chips. Thousands or millions of transistors are embedded to this. Give me a minute. Well, the next example is, can you recognize what this is? The floppy diskette. I know many of you have not seen the new generation people and the A drive of your computer. Those days we had the A drive. What happened? It is not in use now. The fifth type of innovations we are learning is the sixth type, disruptive innovation. This term was introduced by the gentleman shown on the screen. He is Professor Clayton Christensen. He passed away about 2 years back. He was rated as world's #1 management scholar for so many different years, so many years, consecutive years. How do I know? Well, friends, I follow a website that goes as Thinkers. We think thinkers50.com. Start using this website. I'm not here to promote any websites. There can be better ones. This is what is known to me. This website rates various scholars. To be a smart graduate on completion of this degree program, you must necessarily follow leading scholars in the world. You have already identified a particular field, okay, a domain, a space. Identify the leading scholars, 1, 2, maximum 3, and continue to read what they do. New topics they bring in, new theories, new models, new disputes they are bringing, and new conferences they are attending. And when you keep on following them, you become a smart graduate. You easily come to know what is available as the latest cutting edge topics, knowledge, cutting edge technologies. Do that. Well, disruptive innovation, there are so many examples. The disruptive innovation can make my product portfolio, even my organization, or even my industry obsolete in no time. My organization, my products can go to history with a disruptive innovation. Note that it's not destructive, it is disruptive innovation. I shared with you a few examples like vacuum tube and transistors and chips for integrated circuits. Reverse innovation is the next type of innovation I'm going to talk about. Well, this is a practice introduced, not invented or introduced by him. He made this popular. He identified certain different innovations done by commercial organizations, and he branded those innovations as reverse innovations. A good example is when they introduced the ECG machine, okay, the electrocardiograph machine used in hospitals in United States. It was a very costly machine at the beginning, and it was very bulky as well. You cannot move it so easily. There were Indian doctors who wanted to use this, but they did not have money. It's not to underestimate our great neighbor, a great country, but they did not have resources to buy those costly machines. So many hospitals, millions of patients, they were also feeling the importance of using ECG machines, but costly. So a team of engineers started improving the product. They wanted to bring down the cost of ECG machines, and they were successful. They made it less than 2,000 US dollars, 50,000 or 10, whatever the price, they brought it down substantially. And now Indian doctors, Indian hospitals can easily afford to buy these ECG machines. In doing this particular exercise, what is it? The big machine, they made it small. The objective was to bring down the cost. so that they can sell the product at a relatively low price. Another result, the product was miniaturized. And this small size version was another interesting, appealing product to the US customers. And that is reverse innovation. A product that was originally created to suit a country like ours, with some modifications, it can be a very appealing product in a developed country, developed market. That is reverse innovation. Remember the levered wheelchair I showed you? It was an improvement or an innovation done by a group of Indian innovators, and the product went back or sent back to United States, and now it is sold at a premium price. There are so many opportunities we can think of. Products we have made simple, simplified, miniaturized, because rather our people cannot afford to buy those products. Using the terminology or the concept behind reverse innovation, we can innovate so that such products can have a better appeal from developed countries. You are going to do an activity with me. Okay, you are going to do an activity with me. Assume that you work in the R&D, research and development department of my company. I'm manufacturing electric drills. Can you suggest ways to improve? This is the product. Hope you can see my screen. And I suggest if you are wearing headphones, reduce the volumes, the sound level. I'm going to play this noise. Sorry if I'm disturbing you. Nobody would love to see or rather hear the unpleasant noise of this device. Thus, there are so many inherent issues in using this kind of an electric drill. How to improve this? Can you suggest few ways to improve? I will say, let's make this less noisy. Okay, let's make this silent. If you can do that, it's great. What else? Can I hear your suggestions? Feel free to talk. Yes? We are manufacturing electric drills. You are in my R&D team as a research and development engineer. Suggest me a way to improve this product. Anyone? Well, one might suggest, I will be asking few other questions as we proceed, and there will be rewards as well. Okay, surprising rewards as well. Try to answer the questions. Well, one might suggest, let's make this light. This is very heavy. Let's make it a lightweight product. One might say, let's add another piece to the handle so that there will be a better grip. Another engineer, one of you might suggest that, well, this generates a lot of dust in construction sites and various other places wherever it is in use. Let's add a dust collector as well. Let's make this cordless. So rechargeable batteries connected. So you can use this anywhere. Likewise, you might come up with 1 to 20 different suggestions. But think about our competitors. They are also trying their best to improve the product. Okay. So by the time we go to the market, they might come up with a similar innovation so that there will be the same appeal for their product as well. So we are going to lose, or we may not be able to achieve our targeted results. Well, what else we can do? Assume that I'm a chemistry graduate. I have my BSc degree, several masters in chemistry, and a PhD also. I'm coming up with a sticker. Okay, the paper, the sticker paper is let's say immersed in a chemical, and it contains certain chemicals, and you are one of my customers. You want to drill a 10 millimeter diameter, 2 centimeter depth hole. Okay, and I'm giving this sticker. You don't need a drill to make a hole hereafter. It's a matter of pasting these stickers wherever you want to drill. 10 millimeter diameter, 2 centimeter depth. It's a matter of pasting these stickers on the wall in the required place. After 10 minutes, you may remove the sticker. What you see on the wall is, wow, a hole of your desired size. Well, that is a different way of thinking. Outcome-driven innovation. By the way, friends, are customers really keen in buying this noisy device from us? Or are they interested in buying something else? Well, they want to buy holes. There's no other device which can make holes on the wall or on the surfaces. So they have to buy the electric drill. Not only our company, all the other competitors are also thinking along the same lines. Why don't we shift the way we think? What the customer really wants. If we pay attention to that, there can be many other equipment or processes through which we can provide that service. So that is outcome-driven innovation. There are some organizations who have become successful through outcome-driven innovations. Frugal innovation, do better with less. People started using 3D printing, and in Sri Lanka, the Nanotechnology Institute with a commercial organization started using nanotechnology in developing the soaps they use for, I don't know the correct name, for PCR testing. Frugal innovation is do better with less. There's another type of innovation that goes as responsible innovation. Anyway, the proponents, the scholars who are promoting this concept, this practice, what they suggest is to make your innovation sustainable, you need to pay attention to not only to your economic profits, at least cover another one circle. This is the triple bottom line concept I'm sure you have come across. Try to give something back to the society or try to preserve the environment with your innovations. Then your innovation become sustainable. Collaborative innovation. Organizations have realized that they cannot innovate with their own knowledge. So they invite customers in co-creating, co-designing and co-development of the product. We combine the two and we call it co-creation. And crowdsourcing, I'm sure you all know what it is. We give the problem to the society or the community and we get solutions from them. That is collaborative innovation. Don't think that this is happening only in software industry. No, the best examples are from outside software industry. This car, Fiat Punto, when they developed this new version somewhere in 2006 or EIC material somewhere during 2006, they collected suggestions from some 3,000 plus serious users of small cars. This car is Fiat, F-I-A-T, the brand, model is Punto, P-U-N-T-O. So people would have suggested, well, the small car is dangerous. We cannot negotiate a curve so easily. It's risky. Make the car, rather increase the width of the car or increase the wheelbase. Or one would have complained, I need more leg space. One would have said that I need more luggage space. So they accommodated most number of suggestions. This is co-creation. Okay, they came up with a new Fiat Punto model, which became the most popular small car in Europe for more than 5 years. In consecutive years, this car became the most popular small car. The power of co-creation. I'll skip some of these examples to save time. Open innovation is becoming very popular among business organizations, commercial organizations. My organization does not have the technology, does not have the required knowledge to do innovation. So I collaborate with universities, R&D organizations, suppliers, buyers, customers, and various other institutions. Okay, that is open innovation. Oh, my organization does not have a good go-to-market strategy. We have failed in the past. So I'm collaborating with another partner organization to early commercialize my innovation. So that is happening through open innovation. Two sides, inbound open innovation, outbound. Inbound is you acquire knowledge, outbound you give your knowledge to another organization who jointly commercialize the product. So this is another popular practice concept in innovation. And probably the last one, I'm discussing with you different types of innovations. The last one, business model innovation. World's biggest taxi company claims that they don't own a single taxi. Uber, okay? They don't own a single taxi. So as world's biggest hotel chain or the rooms provider, Airbnb, they own, or rather they offer millions of hotel rooms or rooms in ordinary houses, but they don't own a single room or single premises. And there's another car, the product Zipcar, founded by the two people in United States of America, wheels when you want them. All these are business model innovations. We cannot call them as product innovations or process innovations. Business model innovation, it is not a combination of product plus process innovation. No, we change the way we run the business. Business model innovations, they are very powerful. It's not a brand new topic. I can give you examples more than 30 years old, which we can describe as business model innovation. Good example is Aravind Eye Care, a leading hospital. They claim that they are the biggest eye hospital in the world. And they treat over 60% of their patients free of charge. Aravind, okay, Aravind, the famous cricketer, the same name without the last letter A, Aravind Eye Care. An Indian hospital which claims that they are the biggest eye hospital in the world. And they treat more than 60% of their patients free of charge. It's not owned by the government. There are no donors. It's their business model, which has enabled them to treat the majority free of charge. Private sector hospital. So business model is not, innovation is not a brand new topic, but it is relatively new to, let's say, the subject of innovation. This is a very interesting topic. We can implement business model innovations with less cost. Risk is less, and the time consumed is less. And more than anything else, if it does not work, we can come back to the original position. Because of that, business model innovations are very popular nowadays among business organizations. Okay, I'm reiterating the fact that it is not something brand new. Well, what were we discussing? We were discussing about incremental, radical, disruptive, modular, architectural, reverse, frugal, then collaborative, and business model innovation and open innovation. Is that all? No, there are so many other different types of innovations. Why should we worry about this terminology? Practices well, rather than remembering these terms, as I took you through different types of innovations, it would enable you to innovate. Well, how to innovate is the biggest challenge. The next 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I'm going to take you through how to innovate, the most important part. No point in talking about theory or practices, new terms. I should share with you something what I know, not from textbooks, but by looking at how innovations are happening, how to innovate. Challenge the taken for granted thinking. Friends, we all have this bad practice. We tend to believe that it happens in this way, let it happen in the same way. That is known as taken for granted thinking. I call it taken for granted thinking. Honda is considered as a company all the time challenging the taken for granted thinking. Honda, the automobile manufacturer, is considered, cited in management textbooks as a company always challenging the taken for granted thinking. I'll show you an example after the next slide. Now I'm going to ask a question. You all know Honda, okay? Honda is into automobiles, #1 engine manufacturer in the world. In terms of volumes, they produce the highest number of engines in the world. Each minute, they produce some 30 plus engines. How do I know? 14 million, whatever the number, divided by 365, divided by 24 hours, you will see, yes, each minute they assemble that many engines. So #1 engine manufacturer, number 6 or 7 car manufacturer, they are into motorcycles, they are into power generators, they are into lawn mowers, they are into outboard motors, they are into jet engines, and they are into aircrafts as well. That can be news to some of you guys. Honda is manufacturing and selling aircrafts as well. Not like Boeing or Airbus, big aircrafts. These are private jets. Some of you, on completion of the degree, MIT from University of Kelaniya, after a few years of employment, might buy this kind of aircrafts, Honda jets. I'm going to ask you a question. Our topic today is innovation. To innovate, you have to be very vigilant. You have to be able to understand opportunities, differences, changes so easily. Spot a difference in these aircrafts. Identify a difference in these aircrafts. I'm showing you on the screen 3 aircrafts by Honda, the same aircraft, 3 different colors. Don't tell me this is small. Compared to traditional or rather conventional aircrafts like Boeing, Airbus, A320, whatever, Airbus A320 or Boeing 737, compared to them, a major difference. Don't say this is small, we know this is small. Any other differences? The person who is giving the answer is given a small gift. Anyone? Spot a difference in this aircraft. Eshan, Shamingwe, you are also eligible to compete. What is the difference?
Yes, sir.
Look at.
Let's give our audience a chance to answer the questions.
Come again?
Yes, sir. Let's ask our audience to answer the question. So from the audience, you can answer the question.
Well, yes. The question is, what is the difference you see? What is new in this aircraft? I know that I'm not talking to a group of aircraft engineers, but as people, as individuals, as university undergraduates, we should be able to. Our topic is innovation. I'm asking, and scientists and experts in this aeronautical industry, they say this is one of the major innovations happened in the aeronautical industry in the last several decades. Honda did it. I'm asking you, what is it? By looking at this image, you should be able to tell me. Anyone? Please use your mic. Somebody, I don't know whether you are chatting. Okay, Nipun, Nipun, is your mic working? Is your mic working? Nipun? Can you please switch on your mic? I'm not going to ask any further questions. Are you there? Well, so I accept Nipun's answer as the correct answer. The way the engine is mounted, usually you do see the engines are mounted underneath, below, on this side of the wings. They reversed it. By making this change, they have made this aircraft fuel efficient, much faster compared to other aircrafts the same, let's say, size. And they say this is very agile. Of course, these are not fighter jets, but they say this is very agile. And well, I promised a gift, and here's the gift. I'm sorry, I cannot show it so easily because I'm using a background image. Well, I'm giving you this book, Rising in Crisis, Heshan and Shamindri. Please share with me details of this respondent, Nipun Pramodaya. Okay, I'll be delivering the book to your department shortly. Thank you, Nipun, for your answer. Let's continue with our discussion. How to innovate? Challenge. Start challenging the taken for granted thinking. I'm not happy with the lighting available in this room. I need more lights, more lighting. I get a technician to replace all these bulbs with more powerful bulbs. Now I have better lighting, and I know very well that my energy bill will go up, electricity bill will go up. The trade-off thinking or taken for granted thinking. More lights, more electricity is burned. What happened we had the bulb with the filament, the traditional light bulb. We replace it with fluorescence. We replace fluorescence with CFLs. CFLs are now being replaced by white LEDs. What do we see? Light intensity is going up, energy consumption is coming down. They are challenging the taken for granted thinking. More lights, more energy is required. No, it is a myth. It is wrong. Honda is considered as a company all the time challenging this taken for granted thinking. Not only Honda, there are so many other companies. This example I usually quote. Look at this. Decades back, almost all the automobile companies were trying to resolve a major issue. What was the issue? Automobiles started polluting the environment. When they started manufacturing and selling cars in large quantities, it became a social problem or environmental problem. As you know, when we burn fossil fuel like petrol and diesel, it generates a lot of toxic gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, sulfur dioxide, and so many unwanted gases. 3 automobile companies in the world, in different parts in the world, came up with a solution to reduce environmental pollution. That is found in your car or car brands known to you. Even in modern cars, we see that. What is the technology they use? The solution? They develop a small device which is known as a catalytic converter. What it does is it absorbs the exhaust gas from the car engine and reduces the toxic nature of the emitted gases. So less toxic gases are dissipated or discharged to the environment. That's their solution. What is their thinking? Taken for granted thinking. What is it? When we burn petrol or diesel, the engines should necessarily produce toxic gases, carbon monoxide, and so on. Honda looked at the problem from a different perspective. Why should we allow the engine to produce toxic gases? Can't we stop engines producing toxic gases? So they invented or innovated this new engine, 16-valve engine. So as it goes as CCVT, I have a lot of information, but this is not the forum. The point I want to highlight is almost all the automobile manufacturers had the taken for granted thinking. The problem is pollution caused by engines of cars. The reason, when we burn fossil fuel, they produce toxic gases, taken for granted thinking. Honda came with this new configuration of CCVT engines, which reduces the exhaust gases substantially. The reason, the burning or the combustion happens more efficiently in the engines. By now, it is the industry standard. So start challenging the taken for granted thinking. The light bulb, the example, and there are so many examples. Don't think that it should happen next 10 years, 100 years in the same way. Challenge. How to innovate? Think differently. Well, I need to go fast, okay, because I have only another 5 minutes to discuss how to innovate topic. Well, somebody would have taught you in this university or elsewhere, you would have read in a book, products of a commercial organization can be classified either as goods or services. Agreed? Goods which we can touch, services like airlines, medical services, teaching, and so on. Services. We need to innovate. I suggest you to deviate from this practice. Think any product we offer, it is a combination of physical goods and services. If you inculcate this kind of thinking, you can easily innovate. PO goods, let's say a less costly car, close to PO goods, and I place a high-end car, very expensive car, close to services. What is the logic? Anyone who can answer this question is going to be the winner of the next book. I'm going to give you only 2 books. One is already given to one of your batchmates. There's another book. The person who is going to answer this question will be the winner. I have placed on a continuum. A continuum is a straight line, horizontal, with 2 extremes, 100% goods, 100% services. I argue that there are no 100% physical goods or 100% pure services. It is always a mix of these 2 we offered by commercial organizations. To understand this this point, I'm placing 2 cars. One is an ordinary car, close to 100% goods. The other one is an expensive high-end car, close to services. What is the logic to place the expensive car close to services? Any idea? Any suggestions? I know you guys are not talking, so I'm waiting for the chat box as well. Feel free to talk. This is not an exam. Any reason to place the differentiated or the high-end, high-value car close to services? Anyone? Well, I have to withdraw the price then. Well, they expect a lot of services, roadside assistance to personal visits to their places where the car is parked. So many services are bundled to this car. But a guy who is buying an ordinary car, will he expect the company to send 2 engineers tonight when he complains about an issue in the car? The company will say, you fly a kite, either you bring it here or forget it. Well, try to look at any product, whether it is a traditional service or rather tangible good, as a combination of products and services which would enable you to think of ways to innovate. How to innovate? I'm going to take you through about 9 different things I know I can help you to innovate. Back to basics. Think of the value chain. Is there any way that we can add more value with our products by going upstream or downstream? That will lead to innovation opportunities. I'm sorry, I have no time to elaborate. Look at other industry sectors. There are so many products around us where they have copied from other industry sectors. And it is a way to innovate. The reason, in most of our verticals, the industry sectors where we are operating, we have reached the saturation levels. For the last so many decades, engineers, scientists, enthusiasts have been trying to improve the products. So we don't see that much of opportunities in our own domains. We tend to think like in that way. Okay, we tend to think in that way, which is technically correct as well. So we have so many opportunities. We can copy, imitate, we can study from other industry sectors. Well, BMW says they have copied from the game console, the iDrive, they have copied. And Nike, one of the biggest shoe manufacturers in the world, or sports gear manufacturer, they have copied Nike shocks, the technology from Formula One cars, racing cars, the shock absorber. That technology is copied. This the medical scanner. Kids were afraid to go inside this machine, so they painted it. Once again, they copied from Disney. And baby pram meets landing gear. There are interesting stories I invite you to read. Organizations copy from other industries, other verticals to innovate. How to innovate? Consider changing the position in product life cycle. I'm sure you have learned product life cycle theory. Any product will undergo the introductory stage, growth, maturity, and decline stage. We can drag forcefully the product which is in maturity stage to an early stage. About to decline, we drag it back. There's a new term in industry, in academia, that is, I'm sorry, reverse positioning. So that is a way to innovate. How to innovate? Add components or functionalities, add new features or functionalities, components to your products. That is a way to innovate. Don't think that automated parking is a new feature introduced by some car manufacturers. About 10 years back, they started promoting such cars in Sri Lanka as well. Example, Toyota Prius, auto parking. Right. Even in 1950s, manufacturers introduced this easy parking method. What did they do? They added a new wheel. So search in the YouTube, you will see you will have to lower this by cranking down, and it will enable the car to be parked in a very unbelievable small spaces. So adding components is a way to innovate, but don't think that should we always add? We should always add to innovate. Don't think. We can innovate by removing components, removing functionalities as well. I'm going to ask my third question. Probably as there's no winner for this book, I'm asking the next question. What is the similarity in these three products? Hope you can clearly see the three images. The first image onto your left-hand side is ladies riding an exercise cycle. The second one is a brand of chicken soup in the powdered soup. And the third one is contact lens. Look at these three products. Tell me, what have they done? In all three products, there's one similarity. Assume that they are innovations. Anyway, exercise bikes cycle came a long time ago. Powdered soup came a long time ago. What is the similarity in these three products or the way they have innovated? Any similarity? Any similarity? Well, I'm keen in giving you this book as a gift to the person who is going to give the answer. Try it out. What is the similarity? Exercise cycle. Now, I just mentioned that you need to add components to innovate. By adding components to your product, your mobile phone, your car, your laptop, whatever the product you think of, by adding components, features, functionalities, we can innovate, offer more value to customers. Similarly, we can do the reverse as well. By removing components, we can innovate. Now, in these three products, they have removed, technically I can argue, they have removed a major component. Well, water is removed from soup. Soup is a liquid, obviously. Water is removed and the product is powdered soup. The rear wheel is removed. The bicycle has now become, we can argue, exercise cycle. The frame of the spectacles is removed and it has now become the contact lens. Think, by removing components also we can innovate. How to innovate? Use common sense, the most powerful ingredient. Friends, we don't have time. Sorry, somebody. Use common sense. I'm sorry, I don't have time to play these videos. Watch, this is available in YouTube. ID Foods, a company in India, very innovative, a guy who has promoted this company. He's making a presentation at Harvard Kennedy School. The video clip is available in YouTube. Watch. In the video clip, he claims that and he has developed a company which is worth millions of dollars. It's from India. And he says he has not done any major disruptive innovations. And he says one of the most important ingredients in innovating is common sense. I suggest you to watch. He has come up with a solution to produce or to prepare vada or vade in Sri Lanka. This kind of vada, where it is circular like a donut and there's a hole in the middle. Doing this is no easy task for an ordinary housewife, and he has come up with a solution. And what it does or how it happens is the sprout is giving the shape. It's a matter of squeezing, and he is offering this. And very interesting. Not only that, now he is offering coconut in coconut. Okay, the coconut shell is used as the packaging or the cover or the container for grated coconut. Very interesting innovations. So common sense is a powerful ingredient. And perhaps the last one, we can learn from the nature. By looking at how things are happening in nature, we can innovate. We can invent, we can innovate. The difference, inventions are brand new to the world. Innovation, it's a matter of combining existing technologies to offer solutions to social problems. Do we have social problems in Sri Lanka? Hundreds of them. Okay. Try to come up with innovative solutions. By looking at nature also, we can innovate. I guess this is sufficient for our discussion today, although there are a few more. I'll skip them. Any questions? Any questions you would like to ask? Because I have exceeded the time. I'm willing to engage with you to help your university. I know most of the few faculty members. I would love to share what I know. Although I'm representing SLIT Business School, SLIT Business School is also promoting this kind of programs. I can appear in future sessions if you are in need. More clarity, more clarifications. 1 hour is not enough. I conducted a full day training program, the very first business model innovation training program here in Sri Lanka in 2017. I took 1 day. So within 1 hour, it was only in 1 slide. Okay, challenging task. I guess my message or messages are clear to you. Inventions are new to the world. Innovations, anyone can do. Okay, identify a social problem, identify a company specific, organization specific problem, try to use existing technologies, combine them to offer a solution. That is innovation. They need not to be novel to the world. We need more innovators. During university time, those founders, I showed you a few brand names. They are bigger than Sri Lanka. They are entities, the economic value or the sales turnover. You all have opportunities. If one of you can create an entity like Google, Sri Lanka's GDP can be doubled or tripled in no time. You all are intellectually capable, try to do. So I took you through different types of innovations just to give you some, let's say, flavor. So many different types of innovations are available, and I shared with you a few techniques to innovate. Any questions?
So Thank you very much, sir. And I hope the audience got a great understanding on how to become a successful innovator while becoming an entrepreneur. So, as Dr. Shant mentioned, now it's time for the Q&A session. So, audience, it's your opportunity to clear your doubts and clarify the most of it. So, we would really appreciate if you could speak up by unmuting yourself, or else you can use the chat option to ask your questions. So, audience, you can ask your questions now and clear your doubts.
Now, one of the additional point I would like to discuss is don't think that we are not innovative. I asked the question, are we innovative as a nation? Yes, there are innovators, there are inventors in our country. The first two-wheel tractor was an invention by Sri Lankan late Dr. A. Vijayawardena, who was the Chancellor of University of Moratuwa. He sold the rights to a Japanese company. A recent inventor is the chairman of Richard Peary's group, Dr. Sena Yatehige, who has developed so many electronic sensors used by leading automobile manufacturers in the world. So we have inventors. Even the gentleman, he's Dr. Dr. Bandhu. He's not a medical doctor, but he's an engineer. He's the gentleman who invented many different types of stents. Stents are used by doctors in conducting cardiac surgeries. Okay, without doing bypass, you use those metal or plastic tubes. That is invented by a Sri Lankan, or few types. They are inventors. But are we innovative as a nation? There's a big question mark. And people are not accepting modern technologies. Not to underestimate our great nation. In 2016, 205 people, I'm sorry about I can't recall the exact years, either 16 and 17 or 17 and 18, 2017 and 18. First year, 205 people died here in Sri Lanka in the month of May and June. Next immediate year, 304 people died here in Sri Lanka, again in the same 2 months. The reason? Floods and landslides. I was thinking, or even today I'm thinking, whether we are living in the digital age or the Stone Age. Our country is boasting about more than 150% mobile penetration. That means we have 1.5 times mobile connections than the people living in the country. But do we have a system, let's say river water levels are increasing, do we have a system to keep the vulnerable people informed through a text message or a phone call? Look, if the rain continues at this level, this way your area is going to be inundated, please evacuate. No, we don't have. Is it rocket science? No. Are there solutions available in other countries? Yes, there are many. Can you develop a solution, at least a prototype, and discuss with authorities or at least the Pradeshi Sabha of your area? Yes, there's possibility. Use existing technologies, existing methodologies, what others have already done to solve social problems. That's the message, that's the request I'm making. There's one question, I guess, in the chat box. How do I get into the innovative mindset? And how do I know if my idea is good? Ask Hasali Edirsinger. Well, you need to have a passion. You need to have this thirst, the necessity to innovate. Challenge the taken for granted. I'm not suggesting you to oppose what others do. No, it is not the way to innovate. But think, discuss with your teams, participate in competitions. Almost all the leading, rather top conglomerates in our country, I don't need to name them, they are conducting jointly and individually various innovation competitions, hackathons, and they even fund in almost all radio and TV channels. You may come across various programs where they invite people. So if you have an innovative idea, you can talk to your faculty. That's the best thing you can do. So how does innovation fit into day-to-day life? Well, how many problems we come across? Okay. Now you are assume that you are listening to my lecture from the university lecture room, and there's only one bus to your destination. You are from a remote village or a remote area where there's only one bus. The next bus will come at 7:30. Now it is 5:30. Is there any way that we can come to know the exact time of the bus? Well, this is not rocket science. We have so many technologies available. Okay. It's a matter of discussing with the driver of the bus. If it is a privately owned bus, the owner, let's say if it is a school van or a staff van you are using, it's a matter of discussing with the owner of the bus or the driver with authority. You install this device, and there's a mobile app given. You develop it with your batchmates, and all the passengers who are coming or who are using this particular bus or the van is given this mobile app, so they can easily trace where the bus is or where the van is. So you can go to the washroom, you can do your shopping rather than unnecessarily waiting in the bus hall. How many passengers are waiting right at this moment in Sri Lankan bus halls, not knowing when the bus is arriving, whether the bus is coming or not? Are we living in the digital age or in the stone age? Galugeda digital age again. My answer is we are living in the stone age. We are boasting about our intellectual property. How can you tolerate when 304 people died because of course, landslides, we can't do anything, or it is challenging, but there were cases, 2017 or 18, 3 commercial organizations in our country, I cannot name the companies, they are into beverages, okay? Let's say drinks or beverages. They made claims from 2 leading insurance companies, and they had to pay 18 billion, 18,000 million as compensation. So that is the damage floods can make to commercial properties. But how about human lives? There are so many thousands of tanks, well, in Sri Lanka, tanks and lakes. During rainy season, there can be floods. Can't we use technology? Well, if you have an innovative idea, I suggest you to talk to your faculty first. They will handle it properly, or with their support, you can take part in, let's say, innovation competitions. Nowadays, they are not happening in isolation. They make it very public. They even telecast or air the presentations at the same time so that people cannot copy. Such things can happen. And they openly ask questions and they openly give, let's say, commitments. Yes, I'm willing to fund this idea. Sajan is asking, when innovating, how do we balance creativity and functionality? A very good question, Sajani. I have less time. One of the biggest challenges we do have in coming up with creative ideas is we are trapped with logic, or we call it logical thinking or rational thinking. We always try to come up with figures, numbers in organizations. Now, this is my 36th year in career, having worked in so many different industry sectors, more than 10 different companies. One of the biggest challenges I saw in terms of innovations, people tend to think rationally, logically. What is logical thinking? I'm making a presentation to my superiors. You are making a presentation to your lecturers. You try to support your findings, your suggestions with figures, numbers, computations, calculations. Nowadays, we are not happy with usual calculations. We do, let's say, forecasting, we do sensitivity analysis, we do scenario analysis, we do extrapolation, we do simulations. We are crazy about analyzing things. We live in a very rational kind of a reason. In case I fail, I should be able to justify why I made this decision. So I'm always trying to think rationally. rational thinking is killing creativity, creative thinking. Think of a horizontal line, one extreme end you have rational or logical thinking, the other end is creative thinking. Creative thinking has no bosses, no guidelines. It is a crazy idea that comes to your mind. You try to implement, but don't try to do experiments with risky things, but understand your limits. So creativity and logical thinking will not go together. If you are smart, you can combine. For you to be creative, you need to come out from this logical or rational thinking mindset. Then only you can challenge. But one might ask the question, can't I be creative with logical thinking? The answer is yes, but your result would be an incremental innovation, not a major disruptive radical kind of innovation. I'm sorry, I don't have time to explain. This can be a 4-hour session on this simple topic, creativity versus logical thinking. Any other questions? I'm happy to see that still we have 100 participants. I guess you guys learned something new, at least new words and new practices, new at least suggestions. We have enough social problems. People are committing suicide due to various reasons. Some are depressed. Okay, and it is a major problem in our society. And some of these people can be our own family members. So look around how to solve these things. Using technology, use already existing technology, okay? I'm not suggesting you to use only technology. It can be a new way of doing something, a product or process innovation. Somebody is having a problem, he can share it without disclosing names and other things with another credible audience. If you can facilitate it through an app or whatever, that is an innovation that can solve a major social problem. There are enough opportunities, and this is the best time. I have already, I'm sorry, I'm going to send a book across to your department, Shamindri and Heshan, to be given to the winner of that question. And I'll also give a few books to your library so that you can read. In this book, I'm suggesting so many different ways to innovate. I'm not claiming that I'm genius, I'm thinking differently, that's why.
So sure, and thank you very much for it, and we'll share all the details with you soon.
There are no other questions, I guess.
Yeah, audience, if you have any more questions, you can unmute yourself, or you can either use the chat option to ask the questions.
One suggestion, Hishan, Shamindri, and the organizers and the dear students, if I'm sure you have already formed innovation clubs and so on, if you have that kind of ongoing or continuing activity or platform, I'm willing to help you guys free of charge, of course. It is my social responsibility because of the relationship with your faculty, and also my university is at business school, and I also represent Affinity Innovations. They are also willing to help. I can take part, and not only myself, there are so many other resource persons around.
Yes, sure. We are really grateful for your support, sir, and also for participating in today's session as well. We'll also inform you about such things. So audience, you can ask questions if you have any more questions. You can clear your doubts. You can go ahead and either unmute yourself or use the chat option to ask the questions.
I guess there are no
So,
questions.
yes, so it seems that there are no more questions. So I hope we can end the session. So with that, it's time to wind up today's session. So on behalf of the Department of Industrial Management, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Shantayapa for accepting our humble invitation and sharing the knowledge with all of us. And I'm pretty sure that was indeed a resourceful and an exceptional session that you covered us with. And all the participants grasped enough from this. Once again, a big thank you to you, sir, and we wish you all the very best in your future. So let's hope to meet you in another valuable session of Info Studio. Until then, stay safe and have a nice day.